Welcome. I'm super thrilled. CX is my bread and butter. Customer experience is my bread and butter. I talk about it all day long, everywhere and anywhere, and can't stop thinking about it. Today we're going to talk about these lovely people you can see on the screen. After all, these pretty faces are the people that we create our products for. These can be our distributors, our partners, our customers, you name them, our users, and they are who our focus will be about today. Before I dive in, I love this quote by Dave, whom you already know, the chief product officer for Sitecore, where he says that, a future where brands can assemble a stack as unique as their customers and business. Now, what I love most about this quote is the focus on the keywords such as unique as their customers, where it talks so much about personalization, segmentation as underlying keywords within just unique as their customers, and then the business. Customers is your focus. But to what extent are we focusing on the customers in the DXP world? How are organizations now bringing a shift in? What are the kind of roadblockers? So that's what I'm here to chat about. For those who don't know me, I work as a customer experience analyst for Converse Consulting, and my name is Vishali. It's an exciting role because I have to deal with backend complex systems, learn about customer needs, find simpler solutions for problems. But only if everything was really that simple, right? In our little worlds. Our personal and professional lives both revolve around technology, right? Like I'm from Dubai and I'm on this call and I'm spend most of my life just on using technology, right? So how I behave, eat, feel, everything, spend my money is so related to technology. Similarly, I have different experiences throughout different things that I do in the day, personally and professionally. And that's what I'm here to talk about. Experiences as a customer and how the DXP world impacts me. So today my topic will actually cover, I'm just struggling to, okay. I'll dive into what experience is, the importance of customer experience, how we can identify roadblockers at our own organizations, ways to bridge gaps of, right, this is what a customer sees. Are we able to provide them this? How do you identify those kind of bridge? How do you kind of bridge those gaps? And lastly, one key takeaway that I want you guys to sign off with. So what is an experience? I'm just going to give everyone 1 second. If you could probably want to say it out, what do you think an experience is? I would love to hear your opinion. Madhu, do you want to start?
I should say it should be smooth without hiccups.
Okay. Anyone else?
Sorry? Did you hear that? It should be consistent.
I love it.
Yep, for a brand.
I would say it's ease of use and more customer friendly, or like at any level. You don't have to be an expert or a high level user to use it. Like at the ground level, you don't know technology, even a 70-year-old grandma should be able to use it. Kind of like it's a seamless experience it should be.
I agree.
Yeah, I'll say easily understood by the customer.
The accessibility.
Okay. One thing that you all missed is I asked what an experience was and not what a customer experience was. I wanted you all to take a second to think about what an experience means to you. Because remember, you are a customer first, and only then can you think about anybody else. So here are a few things that I love your answers, by the way, and thank you so much for your proactiveness. But here are a few things what an experience means to me, and how I perceive of it. And I think we all do in different ways, right? It's triggering of emotions, any experience that we feel angry, sad, irritated. Our brands and different organizations make us feel that way, or our experiences make us feel that way. They're conscious events. We realize that we're feeling triggered about something when we have an experience. It's applicable in any walk of our life, in any aspect of it, right? Whether it's dropping kids to school and facing a terrible traffic on the way, to being able to get through seamlessly get through things on your way to work, anything it can be, right? It's very intangible in nature. That's why you really struggle with finding the end results, or what are the financial ROIs, or what's the value it's adding and things like that, because of its intangibility in the nature. It's very perception based. Today, my perception of this session, takeaway can be very different compared to Madhu and Bala and so on and so forth. And something that's personally encountered, you will always remember the experience you have, be it, Fair Airlines who gave you a good experience, or be it Southwest Airlines who give you a terrible experience. You will always remember these kind of experiences. Before I dive into any of it, now I would love to talk about the customer experience part of it. Now, where does customer experience kind of fit into all of this? How a customer sees, how would you see things? You would see things from the time you'd even heard about it, from the time you heard about a good school, to then sending your child to that particular school and getting them through high school in that particular school itself. So the customer's holistic perception of the end-to-end experience with an organization or a business. They think of it the minute customer experience is something that they feel the minute they've heard about it. What role does a customer experience person play, in making sure these experiences are seamless, are easy to use, are well understood, like you all mentioned? How do CX analysts support organizations? So a few ways they do that is research and conduct interviews. They spend time talking to people. They spend time analyzing the situation. They spend time understanding who are the customers. What are you trying to achieve? Create reports. Be able to say, you know what, hey, are you sure you're actually heading the right direction? Because your product is X, but your people that you're targeting to are not really aligned to your technology. We're problem solvers, where we say, I think this can be improved, or I think this is where a problem is. We help identify those gaps and solve those problems for different sets of customers in different organizations in different industries. We communicate and collaborate. We bring everyone on the table, from finance, operations, marketing. We unify silos to be able to look at the customers as one view. Gather requirements, which is our little bread and butter for everyone, as you writing user stories, being able to gather the right requirements, putting in Azure, giving it to the developers, the whole entire end-to-end process. But being able to design, iterate, and then write and gather proper requirements will help you just navigate through the customer experience journey properly and make sure it's consistent and it's seamless. And then you design customer journeys, you align with everyone and say, you get a solution architect on board and say, look, I've spoken to the clients. This is what it is. Everyone's approved of it. Here are iterative designs that we did. These are the customer journey mappings you want to do. Now that you've done the front end of what the customer experience is, you do take an outside-in approach and then say, this is what we need to do on the inside to be able to design our backend systems and things like that. Where does CX fit in the entire digital experience platform world? What do you guys think? Where does it fit in? Bala?
I say it's throughout.
I agree. Anyone else?
Top of the stack.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think I love the way you mentioned, because it says throughout. There's an X factor that's very common between the two. There is customer experience and there's digital experience platform. The platform is to create the right experience, digital experience, but create the right experience throughout the customer journey. And that's how I look at it. I don't see them differently. They are that come from different industries, but they are very, very, very similar and interlinked together. So what happens is, in the marketing world, you kind of help CX. CX brings in that customer perspective and lens to be able to bring in the right technology in place. So what is the importance of customer experience in the DXP world? It's competitive advantage. In today's day and age, customers have high expectations from everyone. They want organizations to know already what they want without them knowing what they want. And it's crazy as it sounds, but they want the wow factor from every aspect of things they would do from different organizations. And digital experience platforms can help you bring that to that customer, can help you stand out compared to your other competitors in the industry. Customer loyalty. A positive customer experience can really lead to a customer loyalty and retention, right? But the beauty of the digital experience platforms, is that it offers user-friendly, intuitive, and personalized experience if used effectively and wisely with the right customer journey mapping. So the DXP platforms are incredible, but how we use them, I think, is where we need improvement on. Increased revenue. We all need money, right? We all work for organizations. Now, when you have an engaging customer audience, you have engaging you have good retention for customers, your money will flow automatically. When you focus on your customers, I promise you the financial returns will just follow. But make sure you're keeping up to your customers' expectations. That's all that matters. Unfortunately, in the day and age that we are in, organizations kind of lose that key and do everything else around it and still are not able to hit that mark because they're not focusing on their customers. Also, did you know customers are willing to pay an up to 16% price premium for excellent customer experiences? So great experiences actually drive revenue gains. Customer experiences. The data that we get out of these digital experience platforms helps you understand your customers better. It helps you analyze what's their behavior like, what's their preference like, what is a lady like Madhu like in terms of her colors and her shopping behavior patterns, etc., compared to Vishali who's from Dubai. How are these two women still different in their preferences and things like that? So, and then being able to tailor the campaigns and the marketing tools and techniques, everything by using the right data in place, because now you've learned more about your customers. But we all have roadblockers. This is not the perfect world. We wish it was, but it's not. Complexity of platforms, and we can go on and on and on about it, right? Because they can be difficult to use. Unfortunately, most of these digital experience platforms that are created by very tech-oriented, product-based developers, tech-savvy people who might not have a full understanding of what the end user wants. So they can be very complex in the backend systems to use across, even internally within the organizations, diverse stakeholders, the marketing team, the Marcom team, the relationships committee. How do you interline all of these? It's so complex to use. You don't know where things are and how to get things out of it because they're very tech savvy oriented. So I wish they were, but they're not. This is where I think organizations can start looking and reviewing their platforms that they're using. Siloed data. Now, data is such an important part of delivering personalized experiences to customers. I cannot emphasize this enough. Imagine I'm getting like ads for a bow tie or like cufflinks, but I'm like super not interested because I'm in a different gender, right? However, with a composable DXP platforms, data can be siloed in different systems. So it makes it very difficult for customer experience analysts or those reviewing data to be able to say, you know what, X affected Y, and this is why the call center got a call. How do you bring the different experiences that the customer has in one place and store and say, hey man, Madhu didn't go and buy that shoe again because the first time she bought that shoe, there was a problem with it. Her experience was horrible. She couldn't get through the payment checkout point and things like that. How do you then say that she then called the call center and complained about it, but didn't get a good response because the call center didn't know that Madhu had problem with the payout, with the payment at the checkout, right? They go back. You're connecting dots, but you can't connect dots if your data is everywhere and anywhere and you have no idea about it. Lastly, it's a lack of integration, right? Because these systems can be everywhere and people don't have understanding of it, lack of clarity, education, awareness, and integration of backend systems. This holistically involves lack of integration. And I think that's one of the biggest roadblockers that organizations face at the moment, unfortunately. How can we bridge it? It's very interesting. Before I answer this, I would love to hear, what do you guys think? How do you think we can solve this problem?
Properly integrate them, all the
Mhm.
systems.
Okay.
Making sure the end-to-end testing is fine.
Sorry?
Making sure the end-to-end testing is fine.
Mm-hmm. Praful, Shanti, Tom, any of you guys want to give it a try?
All the requirements of the customer are met.
Yeah, good one. So clear
Mhm.
communication across stakeholders, which you mentioned really very well. How do you bring that in? Through collecting clear requirements, through understanding, what does the customer need, and constant communication. Most of the times, developers are put in a different team, and the business analyst is said, listen, take this, give it to the developers, that's about it. But this is where the biggest problem is. Involve technical people, at least one or two, very early on in your project, so they understand how to scope out the project very well, rather than just handing them off just the requirements or the functional requirements and expecting them to do their little magic in the background and make everything work. It's like a little Japanese whisper that goes around, and it's a disaster. Identifying broken business processes. You can spend time based on, wherever you're positioned in your roles, try and understand, this is the problem I'm facing, and maybe this will impact my customer. How can I start taking baby steps towards just fixing that particular one code, or that particular business process, or that broken silo connection between two teams? Have a single customer view. Oh my God, I cannot tell you guys, this is so important. It is important to understand who your customers are, who are you targeting, what's their persona like, and be aligned on it through clear communication across stakeholders. Because then the developer thinks he's creating for Madhu, but the Bala thinks he's actually creating for me, and there's so much disconnect in the way they're creating products by the end of the project. Identify silo technologies and its impact. Spend time reviewing your technologies. What do you have in store? What do you need? How long is it going to last? Is it aligning with your business objectives, your KPIs, your matrix, your mission and vision of the organization, your 2 to 5 year plan? All of this matters, because if it's not, it's high time you take steps towards it, towards understanding what's the roadmap like for your digital transformation projects. How are you going to manage and sneak out and make sure that you have the right customer technologies and customer friendly technologies in place for you that are well integrated. And lastly, like you mentioned, Praful, clear communications and design in projects is key. It will help you really solve so many unsaid and unknown problems that you cannot even imagine. So in a nutshell, it's about CX is not just any role, it's a mindset, it's a cultural shift. It will take time and practice, especially in the composable world. But I know and I can see that it's going to come through, because I promise you that X factor is going to haunt everyone down in the next six months to 1 year. Sooner or later, it's just going to come. And I'm so proud of everyone today who's joined this call, because you've already taken your first step towards it, towards being able to build a single view of your customers, embedding the right data in place, understanding your technologies, and aligning your customer experience priorities to your technology. And once you do that, it's an absolute game changer for you and your organization. So thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. Oopsie. Connect with us if you want to learn more. That's from Converse. And before the end of it, I would love to hear how your experience was. That's it from me. The floor is open to questions. Thank you, guys. Any questions? Have I explained it?
I have a question. It seems like the whole notion of integrating customer experience and getting requirements and creating the journey is missing in a lot of discovery phases of new projects. And to be able to sort of coach the client of the importance of this aspect of the project, because it does take time, and time turns into project dollars, in terms of costs. So any advice, in terms of how to convince our clients of the need for this?
Yeah, very, very good question. I really like it. I think that's a challenge many organizations are facing. But you mentioned a very interesting point, and I'll just get back to it. It's the dollars that everyone's worried about. You're going to lose it either way. You create a product that your customers don't use, and then you still lose the money, or you rather invest it well and you lose. And that's still a win. It's an investment, right? It's how you see it and how you want your clients to see it. So for me, it's how you pitch and tell them the importance of it and the value it offers. Okay, let them not do discovery, no problem. But you give them a sure guarantee that by X, you're going to create everything and do all of this hard work that you're doing in building things. But what's your retention going to be like? What's your acquisition going to be like? Are you going to hit that mark of your 2 to 5 year goals? These questions, it's important to have these honest conversations with them. Let's speak and be vocal about what's better for them and their client, their end users and their customers. Many times, I think a lot of organizations just take on the project for the sake of taking on projects. And once it's done, they feel it's not their responsibility because they're a third-party provider, et cetera, and it's not within budget. But when you're clearly communicating, clients love the honesty. At Composable too, clients love our honesty. We're very open with them. We tell them what it's going to be like, what's the experience going to be like, how the discovery will help them. So these are steps of awareness that you need to educate your clients. And it is a process, but the returns are amazing, I promise you.
So from a CX perspective, right, like more or less, and in most of the domains, you would see the focus around websites or, mobile apps, for example. Like the touch points are pretty much common on that aspect. But now considering how we say that it's going to be omni-channel, right? We want to cover all the touch points. So in that kind of a world, the customer experience is going to be very different from how you interact via a website, via a mobile app versus an iWatch, for example, right? So your thoughts around that?
Yeah, absolutely. Today, omnichannel is the world, right? You want to send a reminder out to your customers at different places and different devices that they're using, online, offline, anything it is. CX plays a much more bigger role in such situations. And I'll tell you why. The experience they have on their phone, on their watch, like you mentioned, will be different than what they have on their phone. Maybe they want to, but how do you identify what's the most important thing they want to see when they're on their watch compared to what they're when they're on their phone? What kind of data do they want to see? So designing those experiences for different platforms, for different customers is a process. This is where customer journey mapping comes into place. This is where research comes into place. What % of your customers are using which device? How often are they using it? What's the insights? Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. You
Oh,
can
In
I'm
take
so
between, I
sorry.
think it broke a little bit, so maybe you need to
Sorry.
repeat.
Yeah, no problem. So I was saying that the data that they want to see on their watch can be different than what they want to see on their phone. But how do you know what data they want to see on their watch? You have to create different customer journeys for them. Now, when you create different customer journeys for different devices, you can really learn a lot. And that's where data comes in. Understanding the behaviors, the devices they're using, the frequency at which they're using, the demographics that using it, the income, maybe not everyone has an iWatch, for example. Who is that? What are they catering to? What's their behavior like? And then show code data accordingly. So customer journey mapping is a key over there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Vaishali.
No problem.